And obviously the really big one is Joe Kelly, Pepe the Raz with John Romita Jr. on Amazing Spider-Man #1. We've been waiting for this. We had to endure a very awful Zeb Wells Spider-Man run. Had to endure a equally awful 8 Deaths of Spider-Man story from Joe Kelly. But this is supposed to be a brand new day. And I use that phrase very, very forcefully.
Tongue-in-cheek, forcefully kind of thing.
It pretty much opens as brand new day.
Yep. There's no doubt about it. I heard Doc doesn't like Pepe Larraz. I hear he doesn't like his art at all.
He just calls Pepe and RB Silva like Stuart Eminem clones. I don't think he means that as like they're bad, but he certainly means it derogatory in that they don't have their own style.
I could see that. Yeah, a bunch of people ended up commenting that, like, oh man, like, cause I said the art's fine. It has a lot of motion to it. It gets a little.
I thought the art was really good.
Yeah,
I think Doc's nuts.
Yeah, well, I didn't like at one point where suddenly Aunt May turns it into Planet of the Apes when she ends up like, I remember that kid, and says, yes, I looks like like she is ugly, but she's old. She's like 700 years old. But yeah, it was weird. This is one of those where I think that most people reading it, I don't know, you just kind of shrug your shoulder. Because I thought we were going to get some more wow moments. I thought that it was going to be something where but I think that they don't realize that people are down. So they're like, just do the same thing again. And it didn't feel very fresh.
I think it did have a wow moment. Like the first few pages are like, oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, wow. They're going to do this again.
This again.
That's what you're going to do. That's the wow moment. Again, the idea where when you go into this, I just had this weird idea in my head of they don't think anything's wrong. That they're just going to be like, well, we have a new #1. Let's start all over again. Let's do a brand new day. We're going to, it doesn't feel like they have any sort of fire lit under their ass to, hey, you better get things right. You better right the ship. It's just kind of like, let's just do the generic thing again. Joe Kelly's humor is a little off, but it's not, there's nothing really wrong except that you're just doing the same things again. That's how it felt.
I think it reads better than what Zeb Wells was doing.
But did it?
But I don't think it's good either.
Having the brand new day feel, that doesn't feel fresh. Having Joe Kelly do that 8 deaths with Justine Ireland and then coming to this, you don't even have that wow factor of, oh my God, I want to see what this guy can do. You don't have that because we already know. We just saw it. Even if that story wasn't his or whatever, we do see him. So there just wasn't a real excitement in my mind to reading it. It was more the idea of going into it. And a lot of people did tell me they didn't expect shit. So it ended up feeling okay.
It's much more closer to disaster than okay.
Well,
he's okay just a loser again. And the worst part is they're pointing out all the reasons he shouldn't be a loser. He's like, yes, I have a master's in this. I have a master's in that. You were a successful billionaire tech startup. You've done this and this, but we still won't hire you because you're a mess up.
Millions,
because you have parties.
And
you're friends with Norman Osborn.
Yeah, and when I say okay, actually thinking like a 5 out of 10. Like I'm just saying mid. But again, next issue from this, it could be good or it could be really bad. I expect it to just be this. I expect it to be a feeling of apathy throughout, and that's not good. And I just, like you said too, you get Sad Sack, and it's now Sad Sack Parker Luck that we're going to go with, and it's just, again, it's a brand new day.
But he's got a job now.
Yeah.
Not because of all of his amazing qualifications, not because people were champing at the bit to hire the guy who started Parker Industries and he was a self-made billionaire and had all these innovations and stuff like that. No, he got hired because his old juvenile delinquent friend from back in the day recognized his name. Yep. And Brian even Neary. Then, on his first day to make an impression with the boss, he jumps out and fucks it all up.
It was weird, but you want to play that whole deal of, oh, I can't, keep a job because of the shit that goes on. It almost feels like you have like a Randy Moss as a free agent, and nobody's going to even take a bite on him because, he's trouble. He said, no, you take a bite on him. This is Peter Parker. He's a genius. He has all this stuff. If you can now hire him so low rate to get this thing, I think they would jump at it. even if he has all those problems, you'd be like, okay, well, you're going to have this base salary that's nothing of what you're worth because of the things that happen. And then it's a win-win, at least for them. And, it's for jokes. The idea that people are watching an interview and they're laughing about Green Goblin Norman Osborn. The idea, if I go into a company, and again, you have to be with Peter, he's got to go in thinking, I am good at some things, right? I might be down on my luck, whatnot. But when he goes in and you see people watching because they're going to laugh, I'm like, fuck all of you. Like, I'm going somewhere else. I'm such a prick. I'd be like, okay, who's your biggest competition? Because I'm going there right now. And fuck all of you. And then you get Spider Boy and then some weird things. Then May seems to be moving into an apartment, maybe. I don't know what's going on there, putting up pictures and stuff. Even that, I love where Aunt May, who was so pissed off at Peter throughout all his Zeb Wells run, where he ended up costing her a lot of money. She's this, and she's like, I don't mind if you have a job. I like you around. I'm like, I know you're setting things up different or whatnot, but it just, everything felt weird. Again, didn't wow me, except like you said, wow, they're doing this again. Hey.
Rhino shows up, so that's how he screws up his first impression on his new boss at his new tech company or whatever. Mm-hmm. And he goes to fight Rhino, and he can feel that something's different, but he's not sure what it is. And then Rhino goes into cardiac arrest, and he starts giving Rhino CPR, but he can't hear his heartbeat coming back, but he hears someone else's heartbeat, but I think he might have survived.
Yeah, they say that's the weird thing, that some people were confused because they played it weird, but they do say he's in Ravencroft and they've done blood work, so he is alive. Also, when you hit somebody over the head with a truck and then worry about, oh my God, his heartbeat, like you just smashed him and said,
feels like Spider-Man should be liable for giving him that goddamn heart attack.
Exactly. And wouldn't you think that you would think, like, there's a jump to conclusions here that is the idea of, oh, Rhino's not acting like himself. This scene can only, while Rhino's conscious, 5 seconds. I mean, it's very quick. Rhino's rampaging. He comes out, rips the door. I love where he goes to the guy. Hey, do you care about this truck? Well, yeah, I've had it for 20 years. I'm sorry. Rips off the door, then smashes the truck on Rhino. But you would think that would lead to a problem. But yet Peter is now going to figure out, hey, it's not like Rhino to have a heart attack. Odd. And then we go off to Roderick Kingsley, who then explains it. Like everything is explained after the fact, which is an odd play.
My least favorite part of the entire book was date night. Apparently it's a double date night because Randy Robertson swiped right on some type of like lush chick, and they're having the world's dumbest conversation.
Oh my God.
And Randy's having an existential crisis about how dumb his fucking date is. And then Peter is excited because Shay is willing to call him her boyfriend again, but they're not exclusive.
Yeah, he's so happy. and the dialogue in between
what responsible 30-year-old man wouldn't be excited to hear? Yeah, we're together, but we're not exclusive. I was like, you mean you're fucking other dudes? Okay, now I get it.
Yeah. And then she's like, you're on probation. He's like, to probation. This is where I have my biggest fear, that you're hoping less of this going. I think we're going to get more, not the scene in particular, but more of this sort of thing. I mean, it makes no sense. There's no reason to have it. You could deal with Shay and Peter in a better way than this, with this woman who's yelling, the New York wine's so much better. Looks like she just came from Bourbon Street with all that shit, then starts talking about diarrhea, then completely passes out at the end, like falls over her chair like she's gonna fucking have a concussion. There's a lot of things involved in this that I don't think really matter. The last we saw of Randy in Joe Kelly's story, The 8 Deaths, was he had that fucking gallery shit that he lost his money on, but now he's back to social work and he's doing it's not interesting at all, and it's annoying. It's so annoying, but yeah. I like to swiping right. They're clinking glasses and to accidentally picking the Jelly Belly Booger Bean. Cheers. I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, then we do get an enormous amount of explanation. The Rhino is ended up in Ravencroft. Did we get the blood sample? We did get the blood sample. Turns out he was a client. Well, we're going to need to get him out of there before somebody realizes our experiments have created apparently Spider-Man's villains or something like that. Or maybe it's just the animal people. He's
talking to some entity in the shadows. At first, I just thought he was talking to himself. Well, there is that shadow deal, though. And then, he looks over his shoulder and it's not like completely him. I thought it was.
But when he
like
sees the face, it's like his face in that suit in the green tunnel thing.
That's like he's looking at that, but he's looking behind to see the shadow because the light from the case of the hobgoblin stuff's there. It's so weird. And he does, turn off the lights. It's weird. And it could be, but it seems weird. It does play out like a movie Green Goblin type of deal. Like some of it doesn't match up to where he is looking and doing the stuff. And he's like, outstanding. Make sure you're dressed to impress. I have an image to uphold. And then he's looking at himself as being, again, the hobgoblin. But the explanation is barely an explanation even. He talks to his assistant, says, hey, if they end up Ravencroft, bunch of idiots, but if they figure this out, let me know. We'll go in and swoop in, whatever. But the idea is, where did he get this drug? Oh, he's from here. Oh, I thought he made more money than that. And then you go with this idea of, oh, he took it without knowing what it was. And then I'm like, what are you talking about? And then you go off because he says, I'm going to go make sure that Peter, Spider-Man, he's going to know if something's wrong with Rhino with that heart attack. And then he is looking in his apartment for clues, but it is weird.
His spider sense gives him a seizure or something where he feels like all of his villains are about to eat him at the same time.
Yeah, it's almost like, hey, we want you to have a big villain spread page, and we'll figure out a way to work it. It doesn't work great, but yeah, you have a bunch of shit going on. I wish that right on the top was just his big villain Paul, but it was not. He's just there, and he's like, oh my god, I'm being attacked. I'm like, all right. Whatever. And that kind of ends the main issue, which again, I thought, that didn't really wow me. I thought that this was going to, at least they'd try some big things, and it just feels weird. Like a lot of the stuff is explained in a way that it's not real exciting, and you're going to have to wait. Obviously, they want you to keep reading, but it didn't make me feel like, oh my God, I got to find out what's going on with that drug with Rhino, because that's the biggest play in it. And I'm like,
There are, I guess, a couple of backup stories illustrated by John Romita Jr.
Yeah.
I don't read backup stories anymore. I think that this is it, Jim. I think they're beneath me. How's that? Because I'm an ass.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I read these. Did you read these though, or did you not?
No, they're beneath
not
me.
even on this.
No.
Well, first
backup
off,
stories are not my.
You have. I'm even looking 1, 2, 3, 4. I think 5, 6, 7 pages. Use that in the regular issue. This is a number one. Don't have 2 backups in a new number one. And even having, again, where I feel like this is just more of the same. I hate to say it because people still do, respect John Romita Jr., but having him on these just makes me like, okay, it's the same. It looks like shit like it did in the Zeb Wells run. But the first one is Norman, and he's there having a press conference where he's going to say, hey, everybody, I'm resigning from Oscorp. Again, we've had this jumping back and forth. I know
Peter Parker owned Oscorp.
I know. The 2 things that happened. Peter should own Oscorp. And at one point, Norman just said, you don't even have to show up. You have a job for life. I'm sending you a paycheck. That disappeared. And that disappeared by Zeb Wells that did that. And that got kind of fucked up. Then you get this where he's like, I'm going to resign. But some guy jumps out of the crowd, becomes a cyborg, and yells, you killed my wife. I'll never let you live. And then shoots this fucking arm cannon Mega Man shit, hits the podium. Norman grabs the broken podium and starts beating the crap, rips the guy's arm off, starts hitting it like Arnold over the face, yelling, this is my house. I swear to God, he kills this guy. And that inspires him. And what Spider-Man said at one point, fuck it, I was going to resign, but now I'm not, and walks away. And then you have a backup then where you have these archaeologists going in a dig in Arizona, and they have this conspiracy guy who comes in and he's like, hey, and they're like, not that dude again. He's like, hey, these buttes up here, they're really trees and they got energy. Oh no. And everything blows up. And then this guy who looks like a Roman centurion comes out of this deal, and it says the Hell Gate is open. I don't know, but it looks like
a Wonder Woman villain.
Yeah. It just looks like shit like that. And that doesn't feel Spider-Man-esque to have at the end. And that's the last thing you get for the issue because it's a backup. I'm like, that doesn't seem like Peter Parker Spider-Man stuff, but we'll see. And it's the first issue, but I wasn't really impressed.
I don't have much hope for Amazing Spider-Man.
No, and I don't know. I'm not really expecting. I don't know, just off the top of my head and a gut feeling, I'm not expecting to get a 100-issue run from Joe Kelly. If anything, like 25, if not less. And then maybe they're working on getting somebody else, because the idea that he was doing 8 deaths and then he's doing this feels like they really were struggling, trying to find somebody. And not just find somebody willing to do Spider-Man, but willing to go with the bullshit that Nick Lowe does. It was.
But Doc is nuts. This book looks very good for what it is. R.B. Silva did a very good job with a very poor script, and it looks better than the last volumes.
I love that. Here's the thing. You ended up you're telling Doc he's ridiculous, but then you fell into the trap because you said R.B. Silva is Pepe Larraz.
Oh yeah.
You fell
fucking
into the
Stuart Eminem clones, dude.
he got you with the trap. But I thought it looked fine. I like
it. Looks great. Never looked better.
The only thing that was a little off, some people even said to me, and I do agree, Peter's face at the beginning, it does look like a Norman Rockwell type deal, but it's just him looking young and eager and trying to get a job. But it did look a little off at points, but it was okay. I like the art. Aunt May, when she goes, I remember him with the Brian Nearing. I'm like, ooh, she looks ugly there. But she's
the lettering got frosty.
Yeah,
she was ice cold.
She was ice cold.
Talking about that fucking nerd from back in the day.
Yeah, because it looks like this was a guy who likes to get Peter in trouble. They were kids. Peter and him got in trouble, and Peter was always there for him, it seems. Then people right away want to think, okay, this guy's bad. I have a feeling that maybe the Rand Corporation is doing some shady stuff. He says, hey, we have a social conscience, but I don't know. The lady even, like, why would they hire Peter just because this guy says? When Peter leaves, she even gives him like some crap, says, hey, you saw your last review. You're on the show. I don't know what's going on with them, but we'll see. It's nice for somebody to step up for Peter. See, I think that this boss too might become a love interest, and Shay will be mad. But they're not exclusive.
They're an open relationship. He can have whoever the fuck he wants.
You know how it is. It's open for Shay. The minute Peter, you see him going out of Felicia's apartment window, she's gonna fucking lose it. That's how it is. Us guys, it doesn't go the same way.
I don't recommend this book. It's I'm not gonna call it a not. I'm gonna call it a mid.
It's mid, but it's
not a recommend.
Right? No, I think that and basically in our vernacular for this podcast, the idea of this, it needs to be a hot for people to even give it a chance, because they're so down on what we've had. And it's just odd that they didn't want to come out of the gate stronger than this. And that's why I said it feels like they don't think that anything's wrong, that everything's great and we could just go and cruise control and let's keep going. I don't think that's the case.
We actually do this every week, except we do it for about 2.5 hours. It's called the Hot or Not Podcast, but it's not available here on YouTube. It's actually available exclusively on Think Critical Patreon. You go there, you get the Doc is Right tier, you get the Hot or Not Podcast, you get the Doc Q&A, you also get Doc Unfiltered, but you get everything else in there as well. Hope to see you there very soon. There's a link in the video description. Button right here. Definitely come check Jim and us out on the Patreon.